The distressed are not selling. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee, and I want to look at this FinReview article about distressed listings. Now, with all of the negative news that we're going through and being exposed to at the moment, particularly with interest rates up and mortgage stress at decade high and mortgage holders are on the brink, there's another one. We're getting flooded with it. So it's tempting to feel like housing's about to crash down. Everyone's going to be forced to sell, sitting there waiting to jump in. And that may give us a bit of a warped expectation of reality. Let's have a look here at this, because people aren't being forced to sell. The number of properties for sale on the market right now is low. So we're not seeing that push. And remember, the banks gave everyone a year with their mortgage holidays. There's a precedent's been set. So let's look. So lack of distressed home selling helps to reverse the downturn. Okay. Property owners with a mortgage are expected to largely weather the damaging effects of rapid interest rate increases despite signs of rising financial stress, experts say. This is the thing. We're hearing different things from different experts. A survey conducted by McCrindle Research for the Financial Brokers Association of Australia found that 50% of mortgage holders have experienced increased stress as a direct result of the 10 consecutive interest rate rises over the past year. This prompted more than 60% to cut back on leisure and social activities to manage the higher repayments. Meanwhile, 28% said they'd taken additional work and 30% say they were considering it. So people are taking steps to deal with this. The average Aussie isn't as stupid as we tend to think based on the media articles that we see. Or people will vote for a different political party than we would. Oh no, they're complete nutcases. And I can emotionally believe that sometimes too. But in reality, the differences are very minor, to be quite brutally honest. So I think people will be okay. Newly minted Sydney homeowner Stephen S. is among those. What's going on there? Is among those feeling the pinch, but who are determined to hold on to their homes. I plan to rent out one of the rooms at my new place to get extra income and help with my increased repayments. Now, I mentioned this on a previous video. We need to start tracking. There needs to be an index of room sublets, of people renting out a room in their apartment, in their house. I mean, an average mortgage, the increase of repayments has been about from 1.99% to a 70% increase. You're looking at about $1,200 a month. You could rent a room out for $200, $250 fully furnished with internet, everything. That can make a huge dent in your mortgage repayments. And if you're young, living by yourself, or a young couple, bringing a roommate in. We were renting a place out at Kangaroo Point there, and it was on Wellington Road, across the road from Finlayson's. It was a big hardware store, and there's a Pineapple Hotel there. We were right on the corner. It's like 6 lanes of traffic right near us, driving past. So I guess, and we didn't have any of the posh sound insulation you have now, and you just get used to it. It's not the end of the world. And it was convenient because we were studying, working at QT at the time. Rachel was working in the city, so we could get in there quite easy. And you know what? This is story time, so I'll go full screen. What we did to save money as we were just starting our architectural practices, we thought, okay, it was a 2-bedroom house. Rachel and I were living in the master bedroom, and we'd rented out one of the central rooms. And we thought, well, we could rent out another room. This is entry coming into the house. And what if we rented that out? And this is literally, you walk up the stairs to an outdoor entry landing area, which is a few meters across, but you could see through to the ground. And we thought we'd rent it out for $50 a week. Why not? And I remember we had one woman come and have a look at it, and she was shocked at what she saw. Oh, you can see through the floor or this and this. And I said, well, it's $50. And then we decided, you know what? if these people are too precious to deal with that, we'll move there. So we put our bed in there, we set it up as our own little cozy room, and then we rented out the master bedroom. So we had 4 people living in a 2-bedroom house to get our rent down. And at the time, then our combined rent, or our individual rent, we were each paying, it was like, I don't know, $50 to $30 each, like nothing. And it's not that long ago, so the rent just kept going up in that location. And that's how we saved money. That's how we could start a business, how we cut our costs, because we were willing to live in the room where you could see through the floor, the gaps there between the decking. So it was fine. It was no problem. We saved money and we made do. I mean, people are willing to do that these days now, aren't they? Or am I just admitting something I probably shouldn't? Or maybe I should put a poll out there. What did you do in your younger student years to save money? Maybe that's what a lot of people will return to, Anyway, we'll keep going here. But there you go. There's my life hack. Find an extra room and turn it into a bedroom and live in that, and then rent out the legal rooms to people. I don't think the real estate agent didn't care. I mean, because they could tell, they came and inspected it all the time. But we were always paying our rent. We were there for years. They didn't mind. And that property would be worth a fortune. So I also plan to get an extra job, as well as increase my time rideshare driving, so I can earn more cash and make sure I don't have to sell. Rideshare driving, that's like Ubering. Yeah, I mean, that's the convenience of that, as opposed to it being a real job, is you can just squeeze it in around other things. I would do it at a point where just for the morning shift, taking people to the airport, that was it. You do that a couple of times, there you go, there's another $100 a day. Probably 50 profit for an hour or a few hours in the morning when you could be doing other work before you start your real job, just to keep extra money coming in. It's what you're going to have to do. Lewis Christopher of SQM Research, Managing Director, said the current level of interest rates, while it jumped substantially in the past year, was still below the breaking point for most mortgage holders. Okay. We did some extensive research and surveys with the banking sector, in particular the non-banking sector, in terms of the level of interest rates that will place people into distress. And it was suggested it would be 4%, Mr. Christopher said. Well, we're pretty close to that now. This article isn't that old. This is just a couple of days ago. The 3.6% interest rate is still below that stress point. So unless it goes above 4%, people will mostly be able to service their loans and avoid being forced to sell. Tim Lawless, CoreLogic Research Director, said the portion of borrowers falling behind on their mortgage repayments, which generally triggered distressed selling, remained low at just 0.4% of loans based on APRA data. So we're not seeing this massive correction, guys. If you're sitting here waiting, expecting property to crash, it's not materializing. And wait and see. Just wait for the mortgage cliff over the next couple of years. I bet you it'll do bugger all. Okay, I think it'll be a big nothing. Remember, the media loves to hype it up. Just wait and see. Remember the whole issues surrounding interest-only loans. Remember that? What happened to that? Wasn't that meant to crash the housing market? We haven't seen any evidence that distressed home sales have become a feature of the housing market, Lawless said. A lack of sellers, let alone motivated sellers, is likely to be a key factor that has supported housing prices, especially when we consider the surge in demand from overseas migrations and an extremely tight rental situation. The housing downturn reversed faster and earlier than expected amid low listings and increased demand, according to CoreLogic. CoreLogic's Home Value Index for April shows Sydney house prices increased by 1.3% during the month, extending the 1.4% gain in March. Melbourne, Brisbane, Adelaide and Perth have also moved to the recovery phase of the cycle after bottoming out in the past 2 months, with values lifting between 0.1% and 0.6% during April. The combined capital cities and regionals increased by 0.7 and 0.1 respectively, and are now past their troughs. Homeowners in general are managing higher interest rates quite well because they have large saving buffers built up throughout the pandemic and unemployment remains very low, says Felicity Emmett, ANZ senior economist. Even if you have those saving buffers, it's just there's a certainty of having that sitting there rather than just going week to week. If you've got a bad month, a bad week, you've got that buffer there, it calms you down. That's really it's sad that some people don't get to experience that in their lives. Can you just imagine the constant stress they'd be going through? It'd be tough. Homeowners normally get into stress and are forced to sell, not because of higher rates, but because of shock to their income, the loss of a job. But given our expectation that unemployment will stay below pre-pandemic levels, we think the increase in delinquencies is likely to be quite modest by historical standards. In order for a widespread mortgage default to occur, unemployment will have to rise to around 5%, according to independent economist Stephen Koukoulas. If we get to 4.5 to 5%, we could see some genuine pressure on the property market and see a bigger increase in forced selling. We're currently at a near 5-decade low of 3.5%, so we're a long way away. The low jobless rate is arguably one of the most important things in driving the housing market. Because when people have a job, they'll tend to make their mortgage repayments. Here's the thing, people are claiming we're in stagflation. We're not. Our unemployment rate is too low. Okay, we're not at that, guys. And wages are still going up. Okay, the average may be flat, but wages are going up. Evan Thornley, Longview Chief Executive, said even when homeowners were forced to sell, they would like to get a good price in the current market. People want to hang on to their homes, and they'll do fairly heroic things, at least for a period of time, to do that, Mr. Thornley said. The only thing that could lead to prices going down is if distressed vendors face a lack of competition for those properties. We certainly don't have a lack of competition for properties right now due to a shortage of listings. So any listings, distressed or otherwise, will likely see strong competition if it's a good asset. So let's have a bit of a talk about this one, guys. I suspect, one of the biggest pushes or causes of distressed sales is, it wouldn't even be mortgage distress. It'd be distress, I'd imagine, psychological cause from relationship breakdowns. And that can be exacerbated by employment issues and other things that materialize, particularly during tougher economic times. So we're approaching 4%. That's the number that they're worrying about. But we'll have to see. 0.4%, guys, that's still incredibly low numbers of distressed sales. This isn't materializing yet. What do you reckon? Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this one. Thank you for watching. Like, share, and subscribe. Check out Heise BIM and Heise Does. And if you're a fan and enjoy the content I discuss here, support us on YouTube or Patreon. Use our referral links, buy our pocket squares, or call us if you need an architect. Take care. Have a great day. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.